Hello, hello. Hi, gang. Here is your Thursday poll question at Smerconish.com. Why are fewer and fewer Americans registering as Democrats? Why are fewer and fewer Americans registering as Democrats? And the choices, and I'll speak to this in a moment. It was hard for me to come up with the choices that I would offer. And I'm sure, the correct answer is all of the above, but I'm not giving you that out. Economy, elitism, leadership, media, too leftist, Trump. Those are your choices. More on that in just a sec. Tonight's the night. Tonight is the night. Joe Ellis at Parx Casino. I was thinking to myself, if a couple of years ago you told me that Joe Ellis, who was then the editor of the Smerconish.com daily newsletter, on August 21 of 2025 would be performing as a comedian, having transitioned, I'd have been like, no way. What happened here? But you know the story. I assume you know the story. And it's a great story that culminates tonight with Joe. How about this? Coming out as a comedian on stage at Parx Casino. I've been to these comedy nights. They're already a great deal. It's $25. Your first drink is included. And in like rapid succession, you see a number of great acts, which tonight will include not only Joe Ellis, she's not the only one, Joe Conklin, the man of 1,000 voices. Also, Ian Lara is the headliner. He's got an HBO comedy special right now called Romantic Comedy, streaming on HBO Max and recently having appeared on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. So I am at 87% likelihood that I will be there. I mean, this all came together so quickly, and I had a commitment that I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to break free. So tonight at Parx Casino, fingers crossed, come out. Let's mingle and let's watch Joe. Tony Hitchcliffe gave Joe a big break recently, and I just think it's going to be a total hoot. By the way, I'm giving you a warning. She works a little blue. You need tickets. Go to parxcasino.com/entertainment, click on comedy, and come out tonight in the Philly burbs, wherever you are in the Northeast. Mingle, have a few laughs, and see Joe Ellis. Black Hawk helicopter pilot, 16 years, Virginia National Guard. You know the whole story. And now on a comedy path. So we'll cheer her on and have some fun. You got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, parxcasino.com/entertainment. Yesterday, the Wednesday poll result at Smerconish.com. Damn, 38,726 votes. That's just awesome. Are we going to get to a point where we can consistently be at 40,000 daily votes? I think so. Last night, speaking of mingling, I was at a social function that maybe I'll speak to on radio. And a couple of people engaged me that I didn't know by the sort of the opening line, the icebreaker was to tell me about the day's poll question. And that's been happening with increased regularity, that I'm just leading a normal life. And somebody will say to me, hey, I voted on the poll question today. It's funny. Is voting by mail secure? 88.55% of those 38,000 plus said, yes, it is secure. We had that conversation on air for the last 2 days. I'm in the yes category. Feels good to be in the majority for a while. With regard to today, the Thursday poll question, why are fewer and fewer Americans registering as Democrats? Well, wait a minute, Michael. Are fewer and fewer Americans really registering as Democrats? Absolutely. I'm looking at page 1 of the New York Times above the fold, Shane Goldmacher and Jonas Smith. Shane Goldmacher, who will be on today's radio program, headline, Democrats see profound loss in registration. The data is unbelievable. The data is unbelievable because it's not a one-off. It's an everywhere. Here, I'll just give you just one data point. Of the 30 states that track voter registration by political party, Democrats lost ground to Republicans in every single one between the 2020 and 2024 elections, and often by a lot. That 4-year swing toward the Republicans adds up to 4.5 million voters, a deep political hole that could take years for the Democrats to climb out. And on radio today, I will go into detail about where it's taking place and in what numbers. But the Times analysis is a what, not a why description, leaving to us to discuss, okay, it's happening. Why is it happening? And I struggled with what will be my choices. And I wanted to be pithy, and I wanted them to be just a word. We're kind of limited for space in the poll questions every day. I could have added more description than I did, but I wanted to kind of sum it up in a word. So I came up with 6. And I'm sure callers will tell me on air today, oh, you missed this, and there'll probably be merit in what they tell me. But the 6 that I identified, why are fewer and fewer Americans registering as Democrats? The economy. I mean, Carville would say it's always the economy, right? The economy, that working class people who traditionally voted Democratic have abandoned the party. They feel like it got them nowhere. Their parents may have been loyal Ds, but they're not loyal Ds. And they've drifted more toward a Trumpian Republican Party, especially the young and especially the younger men. I think these are in alphabetical order. Elitism. That's my choice. That's what I voted for. I voted on this poll question early, and I went with elitism. Now, what do I mean by elitism? And I struggled with what word to use. So let me explain what I mean. I mean detachment. I mean no common touch. I mean just out of tune. Democrats, I think by and large, when I look at some of the leadership, I see individuals who are too poll driven, too much finger to the wind, not enough seat of the pants like Trump, which gets him in trouble, but also, in a word, authenticity. Authenticity. He's got it, and they don't. But I went with elitism to try and symbolize what I'm talking about. Leadership. And I'm sure many are going to say it's the leadership. They've got old leaders who just won't step aside, epitomized by President Biden staying in the presidential race much too long in the last cycle. It's a party of Schumer. It's a party of Pelosi. It's not yet a party of AOC, Gavin Newsom, Josh Shapiro. Leadership. Media. They're just outgunned, outmatched. It used to be, as I came of age in this business, it used to be that the media was all left of center. And then, the media then was limited to ABC, NBC, CBS. There was no internet, there was no cable, there was no satellite radio. And in that world, Democrats prospered. But now the ecosystem of the media is better controlled by conservatives with their messaging than it is by Democrats. Choice number 5, too leftist. They're just too damn leftist, and they've got litmus tests, and if you don't line up neatly in those left-wing ideological boxes, then they cut you loose, and you've got to appease all these interest groups, and they're all progressive. The party is just too leftist. Choice number 6, it's Donald Trump's world. It's Donald Trump's world, and we're all just living in it. Trump. Trump is the reason fewer and fewer Americans are registering as Democrats. Hey, he's dominated the scene for the last 10 years. For the last 10 years, it's been, frankly, for a little more than that, when he was threatening to run. And many like me never believed that he would throw his hat in the ring and really do it. I love the poll question. I can't wait to see, you got to pick one. You got to pick one. Why are fewer and fewer Americans registering as Democrats? Your choices are the economy, elitism, leadership, media, too leftist, and Trump. Should be a great radio conversation today. Please go vote at Smerconish.com. If you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate you. Like and subscribe. and set yourself up for notifications. See you, everybody.